Namaste. Welcome to your practice. Some days it feels like the last thing that we can do, the last thing we should do, is to stop and rest. We've got so many things that need to be done, and we've got so much anxiety driving us that it feels like there's no way we can stop. We just have to keep doing. If you're like me, though, you may find that it's simply unsustainable. You'll find yourself inevitably staring out a window, scrolling through your social media, or just sort of being unproductive accidentally. So while it seems counterintuitive, one of the best things we can do for ourselves when we do have too much to do is to stop and take an active rest. And that's what we're doing today. For our practice today, we're going to need some sort of support behind us. So I'm using 2 folded blankets. You could also use a bolster if you have one, or you could use a pillow or 2 from your bed, or maybe a sofa cushion. To start, we're going to lie on our backs with the hips right in front of that support. I'm starting with my legs straight, and then we'll have the opportunity to change that. So take your time to ease your way back onto this support. Depending on you and your body, you may find that this is a little too abrupt, like, wow, that's a big back bend right in my lower back and it doesn't feel good. And if that's the case, then we can move our hips away from the support. You may also need to lower it a little bit, or maybe make it a little higher. I've got a short torso, so my head's okay, but if you find that your head's dropping off the edge and that doesn't feel good, maybe you need another pillow or some kind of support under the head. Now with the legs, some folks are going to feel really comfortable with 2 straight legs, and others of us will feel more at ease if we bend the knees. If you bend the knees, you may want to place something under your knees. Again, another pillow, another bolster, a couple of blocks. In my body, it's really restful for me to bring the soles of my feet together and let each knee drop out to the side for butterfly or reclined bound angle pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. If my knees didn't comfortably touch the floor, I would want something under them. But in my body, this is just a range of motion that I actually have way more range of motion than I need. I'm limited in other areas, but for me, this feels okay, feels nice. So, as with everything we do, your experience is going to be different from mine. But what I'd like you to do is find an experience that feels supportive and restful for you and your body. I'm going to take my arms out to the sides with the palms up. As I do this, I can feel there's a gentle line of tension stretching across the front of the chest. Not so much that it's calling out to me, like it's not painful or uncomfortable. It just feels nice, a little stretch. Now, wherever you are, you've had a little time to settle in. See what happens if you roll your head side to side a time or 2. Check that out. Can you invite a little more ease around your neck and shoulders? Notice if your shoulders are sort of hiked up toward your ears. You may need to lower your arms a little bit. If they're too high, sometimes that feels a little congested or tight around your neck and shoulders. And as we've been here for a few moments, now you may start to find some little micro adjustments that you want to make in order for your body to feel more supported, more resourced, more able to rest. Especially if today is a busy day for you, or if you're feeling a lot of pressure, it might be helpful here to visualize yourself taking your burdens, taking your to-do list. Maybe it feels like something heavy or like a rock. Lift it mentally away from your chest or your shoulders and set it off to the side. Push it off of your yoga mat. You can actively use your hand and gesture it away. Imagination's so powerful. We can create a little bit more spaciousness for ourselves in this way just by imagining this. And now it's natural that even as we rest, we will continue to have thoughts or ideas about the things we need to do. Imagine as they come up that you are writing them down on a pad of paper. Once you've noticed the thought, it's written on your imaginary pad of paper. Rip that off and set it off to the side. We're not ignoring the problems of the world. We're not bypassing the situations. We're simply saying, not right now. And when we say not right now to our to-do list, to that production anxiety that drives us, what can we make a little room for in our bodies? Can you tune into some of the physical sensations of being in your body here? Perhaps imagining the back of your head like a smooth bowl, just resting on the support behind you. And that bowl, heavy, holds the contents of your head, your brain, maybe your mind, your eyes and their sockets, your tongue, your sinuses. If there's any feeling of heaviness or heat or overloading in the brain, imagine it just settling into this bowl at rest. The 2 shoulder blades, flat and heavy, acting like little coasters, supporting the contents of your chest, your heart and your lungs. Maybe a little soft and broad and heavy here. Settling in, resting on your scapula coasters. And as the contents of the upper chest, maybe the neck and the throat, start to settle a little bit, what do you notice? Now, as we breathe in, imagine that the breath drops all the way down into the cavity of the lower abdominal area. So breathing in, the belly expands, the sides of the waist widen, and even the lower back drops down lightly into the support beneath you. Feeling how there's this gentle, natural expansion. You don't need to try to breathe. Your breath just happens. You don't need to try to do. Right now, you're just being. We've set aside those things that are feeling heavy or pressing on us as best we can. We've set them aside. And we've just made this little pocket of space to breathe into. Take another moment here and see what you find. I always invite folks to stay longer in a position if it feels really nice to them. Maybe this is just what you're needing. If you'd like to move on, we can start to make a transition here. Bring the bottoms of your feet, the soles of your feet, to the mat, so the knees point toward the ceiling. And then very small movements. Begin to rock the knees and your pelvis left and right a little bit. And feel how that trails all the way up your spine, how there's this continuity of movement from the feet up the spine, maybe even to the head. I'm not making big movements here, just little ones. A big movement would rock me all the way off of my pillows or my blankets, and I'm not quite ready for that yet. When you are ready, we're going to move the hips a bit to the right and then start to roll over. Gently press your way up and come to a seat. Pause for a moment. You could have your eyes closed if you want to stay a little more inward or quiet. We're going to make our way into a supported twist now. Keep your support behind you unless you want to make an adjustment here, and you may find you do once you're in. We'll start with the outer right hip supported against the blankets. The hands walk out on either side. And then some people will like to bring their hands under and give a little hug to their pillow or their blankets. Or it might feel nice just to rest the chest here. And if you find that your chest tissue is uncomfortable, you get a little squished here, then see if you can just move wherever feels more comfortable for you, maybe more onto one side rather than lying face down. It's up to you if you'd like to turn your head in the opposite direction of the knees. If that feels nice for you, you can do that. And then I started with my knees kind of stacked on top of each other. And now I'm going to kick this top leg, my left knee, back a little bit. Not so much that there's any strain, but just to encourage a little bit of a light lengthening across the front of my left hip. And in my body today, I'm going to walk my left arm just a little bit forward. So it's not a big stretch, but just an opportunity to invite a little length. What you do here is not as important as how the experience is landing in your body. So keep in mind that we're not like applying some magical technique so much as we are giving you some space, giving you some shapes, giving you some ideas for your body to wiggle around and stretch into. And then here, once you feel relatively supported, maybe you do now, see if you can let yourself soften a little bit into this support. Maybe you already have. As you breathe here, notice if there's anything that prevents you from feeling really supported or comfortable. Make any adjustment you need to. Sometimes the outer hip feels a little bony here. Maybe you need a little cushion under the right hip, or maybe you can adjust until it feels good. Making space for our bodies in this way, it's almost as though we're opening up a little space for healing. And the truth is that if you've been working with some agenda, which most of us have, right? We have things that we need to do in our lives. Then our bodies and minds have been busy trying to keep up with that agenda, trying to do what we're asking them to do.
And at the same time, they're still trying to maintain our health and our integrity, our wholeness. And sometimes, if we don't give them enough time or space, they're not able to do some of the necessary sort of restorative activities. Our body needs to rest in order to maintain its health. And in a similar way, if we want to be creative, we need to give our minds a little space to breathe. We need there to be room for something to come in. We can't always be filling it with other things. Take just another couple of breaths here and see what comes into the space you've created for yourself. Remembering that if anything feels urgent or you're having a sort of to-do list spasm, that we can imagine ourselves writing it down on that pad of paper, ripping it off, setting it aside. It will be there later. It will be there later. We're taking care of ourselves right now. If it's feeling really good to stay in this position, then please do. Otherwise, just a quiet transition to the other side. You can walk your hands in and simply turn around. Slide your left outer hip up against your pillows, whatever you're using. And then maneuver yourself comfortably into your second side. You may feel, like I do, a big difference in the two sides. That's okay. So you might need to do something a little bit different here. No big deal. Notice if you're trying to make your yoga practice a little bit more productive in some way. Sometimes these feelings of having to do or getting it right creep in here. Like, well, I should do the exact same thing on this side that I did on the other side. And it doesn't really work that way. Our bodies are not perfectly symmetrical. And our experience isn't directly like 50-50 linear split down the middle. So let this side be what it is, remembering that we're not trying to get it right. We're just trying to let it be. Now, this will be the last shape that we take together in our practice. And knowing that, rather than feeling time rushing toward us, see if you can appreciate the preciousness of anything about this moment that's feeling nourishing or pleasant or comfortable or maybe comforting. If there's anything in your experience here that feels good, see if you can invite that feeling to really soak in, spreading through the body, letting yourself enjoy it. Now, in this last moment or two before we move on, see if you can scan through your body and just notice. What do you feel? What's your experience right now? How does it feel to have taken 20 minutes for your body, your mind? And when you feel ready, we'll start to walk the hands back in. Make your way back toward any kind of comfortable seat. Notice that your body may want to move or twist or turn in some particular way. And see how you feel now about moving into the rest of the day. So perhaps the items on your to-do list haven't changed, but maybe your relationship to them has. See if there's anything that you can notice about your experience here that you want to carry with you as you move into the rest of the day. And then if you like, the hands could come to the heart and we take a brief bow, chin to chest, acknowledging your body, your mind, and the power of this practice. One more breath here. And then we'll move on. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this felt good in your body. I hope this gave your mind, your brain a little break. I look forward to being with you soon. Take care.